And welcome back to the Shadow Gallery. I am, as always, your host, James Donnelly. And that back there is not that's not meant to be a suggestion. It's just it was record store day here in in the U.S. My wife picked up a Grinderman LP. It's one of I don't know, 1,000 or something like that. Anyway, uh, it's time for new comics, bitch. I'm still working out the kinks on that one, so I'm just wondering if that's going to be my catchphrase. Also, beard seems a little bit more scraggly than normal because it's NHL playoff season. Growing a playoff beard for my Hawks. Except they're sucking some big weenie right now, so they're probably not going to be in it that long. So, anyway, on to comics. This was a remarkably sparse week. There were only 2 comics that I picked up, and one I borrowed from a friend. So, let's get to them. First one that I'm going to talk about is Amazing Spider-Man 658, which is the one that I borrowed from my friend, that I don't have with me. But I took some notes because it was pretty unmemorable, which is surprising lately from Dan Slott. He's done a lot of pretty memorable work, some really big standout issues. And this was, it's a nice issue. It's it's Spidey basically familiarizing himself with the Future Foundation, and him also kind of taking his relationship with Carly to the next level, and I think we all know what that means. Considering they were sitting on a bed together until he got the call. Well, there was the Future Foundation flare went up in the sky. So, anyway, so he runs off to go with the Future, the Fantastic Four, the Future Foundation, whatever, the FF, to the Nowverse, the present, the Microverse, and the Futureverse, because all 3 of them are in danger of stopping all life on Earth, like wherever. So it's bad. But all of the actual fighting and stuff like that is just it's splash pages and that's it. So in a way that's kind of refreshing, and Peter and Reed talk tech geek speak, of course, but Peter originally shows up in this Fantastic Four uniform that he's created for himself, which might be an homage to a What If comic from way back when, which was What If Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four. That's what it seems like, anyway. At least it wasn't the Amazing Bagman, if you remember that. Now that's going old school. But anyway, so that just didn't really, stand out for me. It was just kind of there, as to service, his new superhero agenda with the FF. They didn't have Marcos Martin doing the art on this issue, which was kind of unfortunate because he's really been their ace in the hole as far as art has been concerned. Javier Pulido kind of took his place, but has a very similar art style. It's like he's almost trying to, or else he's just trying to rip off Martin's look. It's kind of the Steve Ditko-esque look. And then there's a book-ended story about with a team up with Spider-Man and Ghost Rider, and basically it ends up with Spider-Man tooling around on Ghost Rider's motorcycle, whatever the hell what's gonna come up with that. So who knows? Anyway, just pretty unremarkable all around, which was disappointing. which is why I only borrowed it. So anyway, we're going to move on to Hawkeye Blind Spot, number 3 out of 4. If you take a look at that cover, that's a pretty harrowing cover. Basically, this is more about the resurrection of Clint's brother Barney, and of course, Clint's further descent into complete and total blindness. So I mean, like I said, from a storytelling standpoint, that's a very interesting thing as far as the world's greatest marksman going blind. But also, the issue is really about Clint as a whole, as a character, and his uniqueness amongst the universe, and also it leads into his time that he spent with the Thunderbolts, leading them and trying to get them, kind of, more into more of a redemption kind of area, and that kind of worked out and kind of didn't. So, but yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of death traps for Clint. That was pretty standard. I was a little disappointed. Then of course, the reveal of who is actually behind Barney's resurrection, because Barney did die a hero. He saved them from Egghead. But it's it's a lot about Clint, reflecting on his past. As an Avenger, as the panels say, as a husband, as a leader, as as a man, ultimately, and the Baron Zemo is behind this whole thing, it's gearing up for the final battle between the two brothers. So, and also Zemo, I'm assuming, since he stepped out of the shadows. Again, it's a good issue. It's a good series. Like I said, I really want to see Hawkeye in his own series that's more than 4 issues long, because Widowmaker was really strong, and Jim McCann, who's doing the writing on this, also did that. But it just really occurs to me that Hawkeye's never really had his own series. Each time he just kind of has these 4-issue miniseries, and I just think that's kind of unfair because he's such a cool character. But all in all, this was kind of, again, just kind of a meh issue. It didn't really explore a whole lot of new ground. But, like I said, still a pretty compelling story and still a pretty compelling read. Now, the most compelling read is my book of the week, since there are only 3. And that is issue 3 of Avengers versus New Ultimates, which ties into, of course, the death of Spider-Man. And by this issue, of course, it's referring back to the first appearance of the 616 universe Punisher, in which he had Spider-Man in his sights. And he does again in this issue. This issue is basically the big throwdown between the Avengers and the New Ultimates. Both sides get smacked around pretty heavily, but it looks like Nick Fury's Avengers are really getting the kind of the shit end of the stick in this particular issue. I mean, they're really getting schooled. Nick's going toe-to-toe with Cap. There's no way Nick's going to come out of that without some scars. Iron Man and War Machine, Blade and Black Widow, Hawkeye versus a Giant Man, one of the Giant Men, whatever. And, of course, the Punisher kind of providing cover for Fury because he knows that if S.H.I.E.L.D. gets their hands on him, he's a dead man. And then comes the shot heard around the world. Now, I'm not reading Ultimate Comics Spider-Man, so I don't know if this is really this appearance of Spider-Man, just kind of leaping into the fray is carried over from that. I don't know. But kind of a shocker. This is the way that Ultimate Spidey is going down. It's kind of an ignominious death. But still, Miller, Laniel Yu, really good read, really smart stuff, good action, good book. That's it. That's all I got for this week, brothers and sisters. So like, dislike, comment, say what you want, and we'll see you next time. Maybe I'll have some movies.